Howdy, Alan from Green Canvas. Trying to get the proper photography to sense what's going on with this tree aloe that I'm trying to dwarf a little bit. It had previously sucked up so much water into its succulent leaves that it became top heavy and threw itself to the ground several times. So this time, massive bondage is required, and the anchoring system is apparent. Cable ties cinching everything together, and the basalt rocks provide a nice foil for something to create a natural setting. Get different crassula leaf cuttings which are coming along, ripple leaf jade, crassula arborescens. The leaf growth on it 2 months ago was almost a third bigger, and you can see this is something I observed. Aloes do a heat dormancy reaction, which is what you see here, where it's kind of crowning inward, and I think a lot of that factor is coming from this pot, which gets a lot hot. But if any plant is going to tolerate a lot hot, it would be an aloe. And but as a result of that heat, this one crisped up its leaf tips, and it cooled down probably 20 degrees. It was in the 90s, and that's when it kind of did the inner crown thing, and I'd seen that on plants at Southern California nurseries, where they, in response to the summer blazing heat, and even though this was getting water, it did the inward crown thing. I will stop talking about the crown and just point out that tree aloes require a lot of benign neglect. The interior of that pot is 80% styrofoam peanuts, and because of that, it has been getting more water because I'm not worried about overwatering it. I just want to get new roots growing, which it's doing. You see the orange tips there. The rocks anchored down the pre-existing roots, and a lot of times these guys will slough off their old surface roots. This one did not, and I'm happy for that. You're seeing a stick there, which is curly willow, and when I pre-planned it, I put cable ties up there because I just wasn't sure at what height it would sink into the pot. But I'm pretty tickled with how it turned out. You don't always know where the front's going to be, and I don't always do such an obtrusive anchor stick. This curly willow branch is from this guy, which is my wedding tree. So it throws off dead wood and it never rots, and I like how odd and picturesque it is. But the whole point was to anchor everything as tightly as possible together, and you can see the babies forming at the tips of the different crassulas. A little bit of pink sun and heat stress, but there's actually, I wanted this to dry out extra fast, and so you're seeing here my favorite Tradescantia. This has got hairy purple leaves, and this tip died. That's growing, and so I would love to have this be full of hairy purple carpet to keep it from ever being overwatered. What I love about that Tradescantia is it's just a sponge, and cuttings of it can go unplanted for weeks, if not months. So when you want a spongy situation, you add as many succulents and thirsty plants as possible to the base to enhance the naturalistic look and get the water out of the pot as quickly as possible. In a month or 2 or 3, if this is sitting in front of a sunny window, even though the days are getting shorter, you're going to see the flap down leaves crisp up, and then it creates kind of a what's the name? Broom? Skirt, that's it. A skirt. a skirt of dried foliage, and supposedly, theoretically, in nature, those will shade the trunk from the heat of the African sun. So the other one that I have, which is more mature and shrunken, it does not have the leaves are about this size, and they're much more toothy and colored purple, and I will get an update on that in the next day or so. And that one has been in a smaller bonsai pot for 2 years. So in time, these guys can shrink down, and one of my previous videos shows after it tipped out of its pot, and it was massive. So I don't know. I mean, these are meant to be put in like a 20-inch pot and left alone for decades. And I am trying to do just the opposite, to keep it growing and thriving, but restricted and dwarfed in its growth. And I've got Aloe plicatalis video on another one of my videos is Aloe plicatalis. There's not a lot of tree aloes that are amenable to sticking in a bonsai pot. And this one, the pup factor on this one is constant. I had to unpot the other one that has yet to be videoed this year because it threw out 4 big-sized pups that have been sitting unpotted for 4 months, and they're just fine. So these are tough plants. Years ago, I was given is it Aloe beharensis with a supermassive blue toothy leaves, and I beheaded it instead of letting it just wait. And then I watered it, wanting it to sprout, and I was on a minute by minute, week by week, month by month time frame when it was on a give me a year or two and I'll throw you ahead. And I was too young to know that. So advice from a 58-year-old veteran: don't water. When in doubt, don't water. But I babbled enough, and I'm kind of happy with how this turned out. There's a cloth wick hanging down into the bottom, and the cable ties. It's funny, I have 9 on the pH scale, water, and so it just leaves residue on everything. But that will scrape right off with the razor blade. And it's getting dark, and I'm getting long-winded. And oh, the other one actually bloomed this summer, and it's kind of a weedy, common orange, typical Vera growth, not even that fabulous. And it does not throw pups on the flower stem like some of the smaller ones do. But these teeth, oh my God, these teeth will shred you and make you bleed as if a scalpel got dragged across you, just casually touching it. And it's not, it doesn't appear that visually threatening, but it's got some teeth. Alan from Green Canvas Interiorscape here in Minnetonka, Minnesota. I'm looking to fill your space with art, life, and nature. And I'm seeking sunny sills and sunny warm spaces to put succulent and creative plantings in, and floor plants, and green walls, and indoor ponds, and all sorts of biophilic delights.